Amiga, do you ever feel caught between two worlds? You cherish your cultural background, but sometimes it clashes with the realities of raising a family in modern America. You might feel pressured to fulfill traditional expectations, yet you crave a life that allows you to be your true, authentic self. If you're a Latina mom nodding your head right now, I see you and I get it. Balanced Madrehood is more than your average mommy coaching program. It's a supportive comunidad designed specifically for you. I understand the unique challenges you face navigating between generations and culturas while forging your own path as a mamá. Stop feeling like you have to choose between your roots and your future. Balanced Motherhood empowers you to create a life that celebrates your heritage, embraces your motherhood journey, and prioritizes your own happiness. Spots are limited. Don't miss out on this opportunity to connect with a supportive community and create a more balanced life. Visit the link in the show notes to join the waitlist for the next Balanced Motherhood cohort. I can't wait to meet you. Hola, hola, amiga. Today's episode is all about setting boundaries, especially with our amazing but sometimes exagerada familia. We all know and love them, but sometimes their well-meaning advice or uninvited opinions can feel super overwhelming. For example, maybe your mama keeps stopping by unannounced, or your tía insists on giving unsolicited advice on how to raise your bebé. We've all been there, right? But here's the thing, setting boundaries is not a sign of disrespect. It's a crucial act of self-love. So on this episode, I'm going to share you key steps on how you can set boundaries with your familia without feeling guilty and without disrespecting them. So stay tuned on this episode on how you can set boundaries with your family. Welcome to the Viva la Mami podcast. I am your host, Jessica Cuevas. I am a mother of two on a mission to help redefine the meaning of motherhood as a modern Latina mom. Motherhood can be a complex journey, interwoven in two identities that often make us feel ni de aquí ni de allá. Viva la Mami is committed to providing you with knowledge, tools, and support to navigate the challenges and triumphs of motherhood as Latina moms. On the show, we'll be discussing culturally relevant topics that will help inform and empower you in whichever season you are in on your motherhood journey. We'll be joined by Latina moms, experts and professionals who can offer advice, practical tips, relatable stories, and honest conversations. So bring your cafecito as I invite you to be a part of this space as we create comunidad about the exciting and challenging parts of being a mommy. Ahora, vámonos. Okay, so quick story about me and my husband, Alex. One of the things that we struggle when it comes to setting boundaries with our family is saying no whenever our family wants to come and visit like super last minute, like unannounced even sometimes, or when we are invited to a party and we feel pressured to say yes, even though we kind of don't want to. And I think it's because of routines. We have a very strict schedule with our bebés, with our kids. And as much as we want to party and be with our family, we know that Latino families have parties pretty late. So for example, we got invited to a party. The party starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at midnight. And our kids start getting ready for bed at 7 p.m. And I feel so bad because it's a cousin of mine. It's a first cousin. It's una prima mía, that we basically were raised like sisters. And I am so conflicted that if whether we should go or not. And obviously we RSVP'd yes. And this was something that, it just kind of came out of the goodness of our hearts. And it's almost like we are obligated to say yes. But now when Alex and I really talked about it, like we're feeling a little conflicted because we had just finished sleep training our little Mateo, who is now 10 months old at the time of this recording. And it took us a good solid 2 weeks to sleep train him. And now that he has gotten into a rhythm, we are afraid that he's gonna like bounce back. And I know that I have to give ourselves grace. I know that I even have to give our little kids grace, right? I know that they can easily adapt, but the point in case is that it is very hard for us to make these decisions, especially when there are already expectations set for us on a cultural level. And yeah, it's just very hard. And I get it. There are moments where you're going to feel very conflicted, where perhaps your values don't align well with other people's values, or routines don't align with yours, and it is very difficult to navigate that. And so it is important, though, to really understand what kind of boundaries do you want to set in place with your family. I read on a Facebook group that I'm in for Latina moms, and someone said that they are being intentional, at least for the year 2024. This was back then when we were starting off the year. But someone said that for this year, they are going to set boundaries by calling out people when they are saying really rude things. And that is great. I think it is important that for us as Latinas, historically, we have never been allowed to voice out our opinions because, again, we grew up with this thinking that calladita te ves más bonita. But now it's like, well, we are our own individual person. We are mothering, parenting children for the next generation. And how are we going to break the cycle of just like not respecting people, right? We often think that we are being disrespectful in setting boundaries, but let's really think about that. Oftentimes, we get disrespected because we are not thought of this individual person. We are not thought of as the adult. And I know that it is very hard. And so I'm going to share you a couple of things that can help you get a better idea of how you can set boundaries with your family. And so let's talk about why boundaries are important, first of all. Well, imagine yourself as a cup. When you're constantly giving to others, como your children, your partner, your family, without taking time to refill your own cup, you get depleted. And you know how that feels. And so boundaries are kind of like a lid on your cup. They help you control what goes in and out so you don't get overwhelmed and burnt out. And trust me, it is very hard to put that lid on that cup. Like I mentioned, as Latina women, we grew up always saying yes, or we just didn't have a choice. It was like the assignments were kind of given to us by the time that we were born. And unfortunately, that is because our culture is still stemmed from machismo, really, or, it is stemmed from this sort of authoritative kind of culture. And when you think about it, many of us first and second generation Latinas, we have been our parents' secretaries. We have been our parents' drivers. We have been their translators and even therapists sometimes when we have carried on the mental load from the very beginning since we were little. Okay. A lot of parenting websites and social media accounts say that the mental load starts when you are a mom. No, like I think for our culture, it starts from the very beginning. We have been assigned as mujeres at birth. And it is a lot of work, y'all. Like I am the firstborn of 3 mujeres in my family. And ironically, my mom is the firstborn of 5 mujeres. Okay, so it's all women-led here on my side of the family. And as the first child, it's almost like the responsibility has been defaulted to me. So for example, they rely on me or they have relied on me, specifically before I was a mom, where my parents would be like, oh, mija, me ayudas con esto. Oh, no sé cómo usar esta cosa. I don't know how to use the phone. And it can be little things, right? And oftentimes people don't think about that. But when you think about like, okay, I'm trying to navigate my own world as someone who identifies as a first generation individual, I also have to navigate this duality of like what it's like to live in the United States as a Latina. And I get it. It is very easy to just keep going because you don't want to hurt their feelings, because you feel like you're going to be guilty at the end of the day. And yeah, sometimes guilt comes into play if you decide to continue on with those boundaries. But there was a point where I was like, I cannot do this. I'm sorry. And this especially came when I became a mom of two. It was sort of manageable helping my parents when my firstborn was around, but now that I have two, I mean, it's really hard. And now I feel bad because my little sister is now kind of being the default because she's not married, she doesn't have children, and I don't know, I just feel bad. So, yeah, it is very hard. But you have to remember, setting boundaries allows you to protect your mental and emotional well-being. It reduces stress and anxiety. It allows you to show up as the best version of yourself for your family. And it also allows you to maintain healthy relationships with your loved ones. I got into this point where I was very frustrated, where I always kind of cringed every time my mom would like text me and say, ¿Estás ocupada? And I'd be like, now what? And again, I think that they need the help. I mean, I get it. I understand that they had to come into a new country and they had to navigate these systems that have been put in place and that oftentimes worked against them. But it's been, 30 years since they came, if not almost 40 years since they came to this country. And that is more years than my own lifetime. And again, I'm making my own life too, and I'm sure this is the same sentiment that you have. And so think about it. If you're constantly resentful or frustrated because your boundaries are being crossed, it can affect your relationships with your family. And so at the end of the day, we don't want to be disrespectful, like fully disrespectful to them, even though they may think that you will be disrespectful if you are setting boundaries. But really, you don't want to end up having a grudge against your family. You don't want to ruin the things that made you happy or that bring joy in compartiendo con tu familia, right? And so I know what you're thinking, but setting boundaries with your familia can be tricky, right? In our tight-knit Latino cultures, like there's a strong emphasis on collectivism, which is putting the needs of family first. And especially as mujeres, again, it's almost like you put everyone first and yourself last. So how do we navigate this? Well, here are some tips for communicating boundaries with love and respect. So the first tip I have for you is to consider the art of te quiero, pero. Okay? I love you, but instead of accusatory language like, you're always dropping by unannounced, try, te quiero, mamá, but I would appreciate it if you called before coming over. It helps me plan my day and gives me some time to prepare for your visit. Focus on I statements that express your feelings and needs. Again, instead of accusing them and just like pointing fingers and targeting them, talk about how you feel. And so that way, for the next time, they can kind of think about before they come unannounced. The second tip that I have is lead with appreciation. All right. So acknowledge your family's good intentions and express gratitude for their love and support. For example, tell them, thank you so much for offering to help with the baby tia. I really appreciate it. However, I'm feeling overwhelmed today, so I think I'll manage for now. Now, this is assuming if your tia is like giving you unsolicited advice and you're just becoming overwhelmed, because I totally get it. I've definitely felt that way, especially during the first 3 months of my postpartum journey for both kids. Like, I don't want to listen to anyone. I just had to navigate this on my own. And sometimes we just need to figure it out on our own, right? And I think expressing that your family has like good intentions, that they're here to support you, like it is okay. Just tell them like, hey, I'm kind of setting my own boundaries right now. The third and final tip I have for you is focus on solutions. So don't just say no. Propose alternative solutions that meet everyone's needs. Maybe you suggest a specific day and time for your mama to visit, or offer other ways your tia can help, like sending a care package, because let's be real, they don't do that, or preparing you a meal if that helps. So setting boundaries with love and respect is an essential act of self-love that allows you to be the best version of yourself for your familia. Remember, it's okay to prioritize your own well-being. You are worthy of having your needs met. But here's the thing, setting boundaries can be a challenge, especially within the dynamics of our families and our culture. That's where Balanced Motherhood can help. Balanced Motherhood is my signature coaching program designed to empower bicultural Latinas like you to navigate motherhood with confidence and joy. In this supportive community, you'll learn really great strategies for setting healthy boundaries, communicating effectively with your family, and prioritizing your self-care, all while embracing our cultura. I know that I offered quick tips here, but if you really want to delve into the conversation and hear from others on how they set boundaries with their familia, then Balanced Motherhood will be that kind of community for you. Imagine having a safe space to connect with other mamas who understand your unique challenges. And so in Balanced Motherhood, you'll gain access to exclusive resources, one-on-one coaching sessions. We'll have a guest speaker who will be focused on how to set boundaries, especially with your mama. And there will be so much offered in this program. So are you ready to create a more balanced and fulfilling motherhood journey? Head over to vivalamami.com/balanced motherhood. That is balanced with a D at the end, -motherhood, to learn more about Balanced Motherhood and enroll today. The doors are opening soon, so don't miss out on this opportunity to transform and redefine your own version of motherhood. I will be providing the link in the show notes for quick access. And if you have any questions, please feel free to DM me. I am more than happy to set up a quick 15-minute call if in case you would like to learn a little bit more about the program. All right, amiga. Well, thank you for listening. Hasta la próxima y nos vemos on the next episode. Mujer, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to the Viva la Mami podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, will you do me a favor and follow the podcast and leave a rating and review? Hitting that follow button and reviewing my show will allow other mommies like you find this podcast. Your review will also tell me if you enjoy the show, so I would truly appreciate your thoughts. Don't forget, please share this podcast con tus amigas. Also, make sure to follow me at Viva la Mami on Instagram or visit vivalamami.com. Please note the information shared in this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. Okay, mujer, thank you for joining y nos vemos in the next episode.